on graphing quadratic functions in intercept form. If we look at this next slide, it's a slide we've seen before. Standard form, you've worked with that before, and vertex form also. This video is on the intercept form. And you're going to have y is equal to a, and then in parentheses x minus p, and then in parentheses again x minus q. And what this is going to tell you is that the x-intercepts are going to be p and q. Remember, you do have to pay attention that those are minus signs. So p and q are really the opposite of what you're looking at there, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is, since this is it looks like a -1 there, then the x-intercept is the opposite of a -1, which is a +1. And what's the other one? It's going to be a +5. And those are your x-intercepts. Looking here, A is -2, so does the graph open up or down? Since it's negative, it's going to open down. So x-intercepts means that the graph is going to cross at +1 and +5 on the x-axis. Well, since we know that the axis of symmetry goes directly in between the intercepts, where's the middle that is directly between these? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in between the two intercepts. So what's halfway between 4? That would be 2. And there's your axis of symmetry. Well, you know that the vertex lies somewhere on that axis of symmetry. And the vertex is the only point of the parabola that goes through that axis of symmetry. So in order to figure out what that vertex may be, you need to know what the x value of the axis of symmetry is. So the x value of the axis of symmetry, it says that it is x is equal to, and I believe that is 1, 2, 3. X is equal to 3. So if we were coming up with an xy chart here, we put 3 in the middle. What's y going to be? Well, how do we figure that out? Here's the original equation. Y is equal to -2. Axis of symmetry says x is equal to 3, so let's plug 3 in there for both of the x's. And then let's work this out. 3 minus 1 is 2. 3 minus 5 is -2. And I believe y is equal to 8. Y is equal to 8. And I believe right there will be the vertex. 3, 8. And it does look like it's going to open down. So, the other 2 points that you need, well, you have a 1, 0, and you also have a 5, 0. So you could do a couple different things. You could figure out what, if x was 0, what would be the y value, because we kind of know that, I mean, we could figure out this one right here for 2 also, but we kind of know that it's going to come down like that somehow. And I think the 0, if x is 0, I think that would help us out a little bit better in determining the rest of the graph. So if x is 0, y is equal to -2. 0 minus 1, 0 minus 5. And let's work that out. So we have -2 times -1, which is a +2, times by -5. and that is going to be a -10. 0, -10. I think there's 10 spaces there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep. 0, -10. And that must mean that since this is 3 spaces away at 6 will be -10 also. And now you just draw your graph. With arrows. So basically your first step is to determine your x-intercepts and then use the axis of symmetry to figure out the vertex. Basically all you do. Let's look at this example. If you feel comfortable doing this one on your own, do so. And check it with mine. I know the x-intercept is going to be 4 because the minus signs match up. Except in this one here, it's not a minus sign, but we should think of it as x minus -2. And so the x-intercept is 4 and -2. Let's go ahead and plot those. 1, 2, 3, 4, and -2. The axis of symmetry is halfway between that. I know that there are 6 spaces between 4 and -2, so the axis of symmetry is 3 spaces away from one of those intercepts. 1, 2, 3. There's the axis of symmetry. And so the vertex must lie on that. The vertex is going to be a +1. So now we need to figure out what the y value is. And we go back to this original equation to do that. Y is equal to, well, we said the axis of symmetry was down here. X would be +1, so let's plug 1 in for x. And plug 1 in for x again. 1 minus 4 is -3. 1 plus 2 is 3. And so therefore y must equal -9. There we go. 1, -9. And there's your vertex. Does that match? It looks like it's opening up. And if we look here, A is positive. It's a +1. So that should mean that the graph should open up. So we've matched up pretty well there. We know that -2 is at 0. So, and it's 3 spaces away. 5 is also at 0, and it's 3 spaces away. We could go a couple different things here. Let's pick a couple points. We could probably either go 0, -1, or we could possibly go out here with 6. Although I'm afraid if we go with 6, so if we put 6 here, we're going to get a number that's going to be off of our grid. So I'm not going to go with 6. Let's just go with 0. 0 is 1 space away, so 2 is also 1 space away from the vertex. So plug 0 in there. Y is equal to 0 minus 4 is -4. 0 plus 2 is 2. It's equal to -8. And 2 must also be -8. And so now let's graph. Whoa. Didn't work out. Let's try it again. Okay. There you go. And I have one last one here for you. If you feel comfortable, do this on your own, do so, and check it with mine. First off, the x-intercepts are going to be +3 and Remember, it's supposed to be a subtraction. Minus 4. So if the x-intercepts are positive 3, there's positive 3 and negative 4, I believe. So how many spaces are between positive 3 and negative 4? I believe that's 7. There are 7 spaces, and half of 7 is 7 halves, or 3.5. So we're going to go over 3.5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, and a half. So that must mean the x-axis is halfway between 0 and negative 1, and its equation is going to be x is equal to negative 1/2. And now let's find out what the y value is going to be at negative 1/2. What's the y value? Plug it back in for x and determine that. We'll go plug it back into this original equation. Y is equal to 2 negative 1/2 minus 3 and negative 1/2 plus 4. Okay, so this is going to be 2 negative 1/2 minus, they have to have common denominators, so I believe 6 over 2 makes those common denominators, and negative 1/2 plus 8 over 2. So we get 2 times negative 7/2 and positive 7/2. And so from there, I know that this 2 and this 2 will cancel out, leaving us with negative 49 over 2. Negative 49 over 2 is negative 24 and a half. So this will help you determine spacing there. I don't think negative 24 and a half is going to fit on our graph. A wee bit of a problem. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make each one of these be 4. So we have to alter the graph to be 4. So the x-intercepts cannot be there any longer, and we're going to have to change this. So if each space is a 4, then the same way for the x's. X-intercept is 3 and negative 4, so negative 4 is actually on this line. 3 is going to be somewhere about here. And so here's negative 4, negative 8, negative 12, negative 16, negative 20, negative 24. So we're looking for negative 24 and a half. So we have negative 1/2. Negative 24 and a half is somewhere right in there. It should be just below the line. Should just be somewhere below the line. Okay, so now let's figure out some things here. If I want to choose 8, I know 8 is 7.5 away. Or I'm sorry, 8 is 8.5 away from negative 1/2. 8.5 away. So what would be 8.5 away from here? I believe it's negative 9. Okay, so let's take 8. Now we're trying to find these other points for the fill out the table. 8 for x. And so now 8 minus 3 is 5. 8 plus 4 is 12. So this is 120. Oh my. 120. and it gets off the page quickly. This really only goes up to 40 up here, so we're going to have to do the best we can. And I know I said that this is not supposed to be a V, but that's the best that I can do with these markers that I have right here. That was even worse, wasn't it? Let's try this. There we go. Wow. Use your imagination on that one. We can make a pretty good graph that we know the intercepts and we know the vertex. We can do a pretty good graph from here, pretty reasonable. If we need it to be exact, we can always use technology, graphing calculators or computer program to make it exact for us. Alrighty, that's what you have. So that's all we have for today, for this video lesson.